doing, it was a handshake that went from elbow to chin to face. So this story for me was just interesting to take it because of the way it's been handled. Now, if we want to juxtapose it again against what's happening in Nigeria, our judiciary has been on strike. Well, I think the strike has now ended, no? But in this case, the man or the suspect has been prosecuted. He's been to court, the 28-year-old man, and he's been sentenced to 4 months in prison with a 14-month suspended sentence. So 18 months in all, but 14 months of it is suspended. I like the fact that he said he didn't intend to slap, but that the emotion and the way he felt when he saw the president and what France has become under this president led him to the act. The president in turn said, he wasn't going to make a big deal out of it, but that in a democratic country, that it wasn't right. That I don't even think it has to do with democracy. It's not right anywhere to assault anyone. But the fact that he shouldn't have done that, but he wasn't going to dwell on it. And in my mind, I just thought there's so many things here to try and relate to our own current circumstances. First of all, it's taking them 2 days between the act, the arrest, the trying, and prison. 2 days. Now, no doubt, it fast-tracked a little bit because it was the president, but justice has run its course, and he's now going to pay for his crime.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that anybody touched him whilst this was happening. So I suspect that he has had. What's the word now? He hasn't had anybody slap him. He hasn't had anybody beat him. If you try that in this part of the world, I'm not sure what percentage of his entire body would have made it to court, if at all. That's what we would expect.
I like that part, Uti. What percentage of his body would have made to court? What is court in Nigeria? Hey,
so
that's if it's
to put it
just
lightly.
good to see the opposite of how things should compare to what they could be, what they should be. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. Marianne, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I'm saying, to put it lightly, there is no part of that person's body that's going to make it to court. Because you know that
I'm just trying to be positive.
Maybe his spirit or his soul.
But I love the positivity. Yes, this is the kind of Nigeria that we're hoping for. But the reality on the ground is that our government, unfortunately, even though they claim that we're in a democratic dispensation, are judge and jury, and they are also the executioner. So it's unfair for the people who live in this enclave. But I think we should be learning from these people. Our president, our leaders are always engaging with these people on a daily basis. And I always ask myself, what's the takeaway? You just go there to register your presence, but you never pick anything from these people and how they govern.
Absolutely. Jennifer, let me come to you.
I love Uti's story. Just, putting it out there. Because I know how many people have made statements like, oh, if I see this particular person, what I would do to him or what I would, and I'm like, okay.
Try it.
Those are just words online, but if you're offline, try them. Anyway, what I found in the news today, 90% primary 6 pupils in Niger public schools cannot read or write. The chairman of NSUBEB, that's the Niger State Universal Basic Education Board, has disclosed that he disclosed this during his 2-day roundtable discussion about revamping the basic education. Now, there was something that he said that actually struck me. He said that they registered about 250 students for a national examination in Unity colleges, and out of that 250 pupils, only 21 passed. So he's like, 21 out of 250, that's massive failure. That's massive failure, and that's even putting it lightly. And you're talking about people who are supposed to be graduating and entering secondary school. So if at that stage you have people who cannot read or write, then I don't know what else you're looking for.
Interestingly, this story that you took, while I was driving down to work today, I was over the radio listening in on the radio. I think there's one show they do, you call in anonymous to make a confession. And a teacher now calls in to say, he's worked in different private schools and how they normally used to go and, make sure that the students pass the exams in private schools and all of that. And it just brought to my mind, I know somebody very close home that the person, when I saw her results in mathematics, excellent, I said, are you? So why are you not studying? Why are you studying mass communication? Said,
Yeah.
Auntie, leave that one. That one is not me that wrote the exam. So these are what private schools especially, they do. Why? Because you as a parent, you go there, you say, I want to see your record. They will now give you record. Oh, we have straight A's. We have 7 A's. So the educational structure is not just even on the body of the schools, even parents as well.
Yeah.
We put this burden on schools to ensure that they have excellent, impeccable results because we are so focused on the child coming out with a 2-1 or a first class and all of that. And we forget the basic thing. Do you understand? So how can pupils not know how to read? So why are they even in school? And you see those children will still be promoted.
Aside teachers teaching your kids in school, you as a parent, I think you also have your job to do at home. When they come back, you're supposed to ask valid questions. I remember, the way I am right now, especially when it comes to my education, is all thanks to my dad, because my dad will put his foot down. Once he comes back from work at night, Jennifer, bring your assignments. And then he's looking at it. Just fill one. He will ask you a very simple question. You should be able to. And my dad will ask you, okay, the next, what are you guys studying next? He goes through our syllabus and then he's like, okay, read this next.
All those,
I want to play the devil's advocate. I'm sorry, I want to play the devil's advocate.
These parents.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Uti, hold on. I'm sorry. I brought my politics here. It's Niger State we're talking about. Where did you grow up, honey?
Lagos.
Okay, good. So how many parents in Niger State are literate? The reason why they're sending their children to school, I can bet, is because they want their children to be better than them.
Yeah,
so
true.
the onus is on the teachers in this instance because, number one, government has come up with school feeding because most parents would not let their children go to school. They'd rather that they go and hawk or, whatever, give them off in marriage. So yes, they're sending these children to school. It is principally the teachers and the schools' duty to make sure that these children become out as good as
90%.
Let me add something to what you're saying now. I think the thing is, yes, I have a problem with the educational system because you have teachers who have been teaching for 15 years. And when they first got to that school, the book they've been using since 15 years ago is what they are
Don't
still...
go there now.
My chemistry teacher in secondary school, his book turned brown. And then when I asked people who had graduated years back, that's the same book.
They revised edition of these
My
books.
sister teaches in France, right? She teaches in France, and she teaches both English and literature. And she was telling me, the students that just graduated, all the happenings in Nigeria, they revamped. It's so annoying that they revamp textbooks. Maybe she said maybe every 3 months or every 6 months or something. They make it so current. So all the things that is happening, the NSAS protest, she was teaching her literature students. What are you saying? I bet don't go there. Uti, you wanted to say something before I take my story.
So Marianne has sort of spoken my mind because, first of all, this is Niger State. We've talked a couple of times about the standards that are set in different states across the country. Let me tell you what stood out for me the most in this story. They didn't say primary 1 students, primary 2, primary 3.
Primary
These guys have had
Primary
6
6.
years in primary school and they can't read or write, but they've been going to school every day. What is it that we're using as a measure? I find it quite hilarious in this story that the people that are talking, the Commissioner of Education and the governor of the state, represented by the deputy governor, I believe was what was in the story, there's nobody held accountable for performance. How can the Commissioner of Education be calling on participants to come up with diverse ideas on how to improve educational standard in her state? What is your job, madam? I don't understand. So when I read all of this, I say, well, the truth of it is the system is flawed. So to even blame the people, sometimes there's no point. Absolutely. Because when you have people who their cutoff mark is in the single digits, in the same country where other people's cutoff marks are 10% away from the target or from the top end of the score range, what are we talking about? So this story just decries so many things that is wrong with our nation, where if you read the comments in this story, which is what I find the funniest, is that these people tomorrow will become permanent secretaries, will become leaders in our civil service, and then the educated people will be subordinates. So what do we expect? I mean, I don't even know what to say.
I think we should leave it there.
It's really just
It's
distressing.
unfortunate.
So I'm just going to analyze, I wanted to, my story was just to analyze, hear your thoughts, the ladies, what your thoughts were concerning the interview. Finally, our president finally grants an interview.
Oh,
First of all, I was very...
Can I be excused?
Wait, no, you cannot be excused. First of all, I was so disappointed because it was not a live interview. Yeah. I was expecting a live interview because most times when international journalists come, they give them that freedom to be able to do those kinds of interviews. First of all, it was recorded, and for me, he was very evasive when it came to the answers that he was given. And, I mean, the answers he gave to the people asking the questions, and also I think to some extent, even the people that asked certain questions. I mean, there was something I was expecting on healthcare that I thought would have come out after, and this is not trying to attack anybody, because I know I've been in that situation before. I've been privileged to interview his wife, that's Aisha Buhari, and I know how they were like on our neck, you know, don't ask this, don't ask that, because ours was live. It wasn't even recorded. So I can imagine and afterwards, you know, you still do the edit, and it was really, really, so for me, two things. I mean, he talked about grazing. He says he wants to create grazing areas and grazing cattle routes, so cattle would have a route that they ply. And he said that cattle rearers in Nigeria usually only take machete and sticks. That the people that are taking all those sophisticated weapons, they're from Mauritania, and I think he said Central Africa. And I'm wondering, okay, yeah, but I have seen Nigerian cattle rearers go with bows and arrows. They've gone with the locally made guns. So you can't just say it is only sticks and machete that they carry. So, and I cannot want to believe that it is only foreigners that are doing this, that are having these attacks on, farmer header clash. I don't want to believe that. Then he also talked about closing of borders, and he's asked Nigerians to grow what they eat, blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering, okay, with all the crisis that is happening with food security and, you know, farmers complain about they cannot go to their farm, how would that, so it was just a muffled, for me it was mixed feelings, you know. When he was asked about devolution of power, of course, he mentioned the local government, that he believes that the local government has been so weakened, which is true, you know. But we want to also distill his own power from the central, right? Let us spread it. Let's have a better structure. So when people are calling for things like this, and I mean that's why I took the story, because we're talking about freedom of expression and all of that. I don't think those journalists that were there had the freedom to really express what was really on their mind, to ask that question, even though it was even recorded. So for me, I just think, you know, it was important to mention that. But let me hear your thoughts, like a minute.
My thoughts cannot be fitted into a minute. It's not going to happen. But I'll try. I'm sorry if anybody expected that the president was going to be live. It's not going to happen, because we have not seen it happen in a long time. And this is the first time in a while that the president has even allowed himself to have a media chat, which I applauded until I realized that it was recorded. And I said, oh, well, I mean, even when the president is giving a press statement or he's addressing us as Nigerians, it is recorded.
All the time.
So we've had the president for how many years now? Why are we expecting that he's going to snap his fingers overnight and change and become a totally new person overnight? It's not going to happen. I came here to dissuade you to stop hoping. And I'm not being negative, ladies and gentlemen, because it's like being married to a person and hoping that you will change the person. It's not going to happen.
Now, can I just say something on a lighter note? Please. I'm not even going to speak to what was said, what was not said. We are the home of Nollywood. We need to find better editors. We cannot be watching a presidential interview that supposedly should be live, that we know is recorded, and then frames are jumping all around. At least edit well. All this one of expectation.
On that note,
with expectations. I'm sorry for you. But at least, let us see.
I'm going to be always be hopeful.
When I heard that he had granted an interview and then they were showing it on TV, I just did not bother. When we were all chatting on the group, I just saw it and dropped my phone. I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't expecting anything. Not even much is putting it slightly. I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting anything. So when I heard about it, I'm like, He's not
said,
going
you know,
to
in
say
the
anything
interview, he
that's
said
going
a
to
lot
favor
and
us.
still did not say anything.
Exactly.
You know what? We'll take
There was
a
a
break.
lot of ha-ha-has. I'm like, really? In a
We'll
country
be right
where
back
they are
from the break.
killing us.
Stay with us.
We'll be back.
Please welcome with me my friend and brother Adilawa. We call him Turi.
We have refused to let the schools evolve. Lekon, wait, have you ever asked yourself why it is only the teams that are owned by state governments that are thriving? Okay, so with 1,000 naira, you could eat 8 different meals. You can tell when a child will go into school, but you couldn't even tell when this child will graduate.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
Thanks for staying with us. Please, Lord, help us today. All right, so generally, freedom of expression connotes the liberty of every person to openly discuss issues, hold opinions, and impact ideas without restrictions, restraint, or fear of punishment. It is undoubtedly a right to be enjoyed by every person who is not. And freedom of speech and expression, therefore, may not be recognized as being absolute and common limitations or boundaries to freedom of speech relate to libel, slander, obscenity, pornography, sedation, incitement, fighting words, classified information, copyright violation, trade secrets, food labeling, non-disclosure agreements, the right to privacy, dignity, and the right to be forgotten, public security, and perjury. Now, in Nigeria, what would we term as freedom of expression, and where do we draw the line, especially as it relates to all the recent events in our nation? Okay, there's IPOB, there's Twitter ban, there's the president's speech that we just talked about. There's also secession, calls for structural reforms or constitutional reforms. Now, that's our conversation tonight. We want to understand where do we draw the line, both from the point of government trying to gag us as citizens and us as, citizens. Where do we draw the line when we want to express ourselves? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. All right, so I don't know who I'm going to start with first. So let me start with Uti. Uti Elu, over to you.
What am I supposed to say in this freedom of expression matter?
Express yourself.
Freedom of expression is important, first of all. But with great power comes great responsibility. So whichever side of the divide you're on, you have the right to your opinion. You have the right to your views. There should be the understanding that your views are not more important than anyone else's, and no one else's views are more important than yours. But the reality of it is, everything I've just said is in the world of black and white. However, we live in the world of gray. We live in the world of the truth according to you, the truth according to me, your truth, my truth. We're keeping it real. And when that happens, we don't have a clear line. So we can't draw a line right now between what is too far. When it was, this is right, wrong is wrong, we could, because everybody would stand and say, you've gone too far. But now there's somebody out there who is perfectly sane, perfectly normal, who will be able to justify that thing that you are saying is completely absurd. And that's where we are today. So when we talk about freedom of expression, when we talk about people being allowed to say what they truly think, yes, you must be able to do that. But you also have a responsibility to ensure that when you do express your opinions, when you do express yourself, that you're not doing it at the risk of somebody else. You're not doing it to the detriment of somebody else. So it's a fine balance. So how, I guess the conversation is today, how do we find that balance, given that there are no absolutes anymore in today's world of expression, of thought, of platform, because now we talk about social media. Everywhere is agog at the moment with the Twitter ban. You can argue for and against it. Again, there's no black and whites. We're talking gray. If we all want to be candid, we have all seen one post, at least one post, that has made us think, man, my dad have been one too far. My dad have crossed our personal lines, even if we say there's no general line. But at least we've at some point seen something that has crossed our personal line that makes us think perhaps there should be some rules. But then we also enjoy that freedom to be able to go and express ourselves on these platforms. Who should call the shots? Who should tell us what is right or wrong? The government's point of view is that the platform should not have a right to tell us what is right or wrong. The government should have a say, whether it's from the perspective of protecting themselves or protecting the people or protecting the nation. The people say they have a right to express themselves. You can call whichever constitution, the Nigerian one, the African one, the global one, human rights. There's so many ways. Like I said, everything is justifiable. There's a way somehow to explain everything these days. So the truth is, how do we begin to go back to absolutes where we can say,
is it
this
possible?
is the line? And
Let me come to Marianne. Is it possible to go back to absolute? Where we are, we've gone too far, you know, in terms of my truth, your truth. So nobody would want to take that absolute. Now, if I tell you this thing you're doing is wrong now, it's serious fight, you know. But let me come to Marianne.
It's really, like you said, where your right stops, mine begins. So I might be of the school of thought that you don't have to bare your body to be beautiful or to be sexy. And, well, you're of the school of thought that I'm a feminist, I can bare my body, and that's sexy to me. Who says that that's not sexy? So, yes, there's that imbroglio of where should we draw the line. But when it comes to an entity like Nigeria or common laws, rules, regulations, for example, let's use the Twitter ban as an example. I am totally against, but I'm somewhat for regulating these kinds of spaces. Like Uti said, there are some messages that you see, there's some posts that you see, and you think to yourself, wow, did this person read it before posting it? Because you have obviously crossed the line. But because that space might not be as regulated as it should be, and then there is no sieve as to what is truth and what is fact. Your truth might not be a fact. And I, as a journalist, I only work with facts. So I would disapprove of what you post because I will bring facts to back my position, saying that, okay, constitutionally or worldwidely, this is wrong and this is why. But I might not embrace it because I feel that this is my truth and I'm bearing it. Should we have regulations on the Twitter space, Facebook? Yes. That's why Facebook has rules and regulations that if you violate it, they could flag your tweet, they could take it down, they could even suspend your account. But the truth is, this space is unregulated. I mean, Twitter sphere. Who owns Twitter? One person. He's a Jew. If, for example, there's something that is happening in Nigeria that, as a Jew, and I'm not saying that Jack is, you know, a political person, he might be apolitical, but could he have the powers to influence or fuel something in Nigeria that could cause somebody to be removed? Yes. This is where countries need to be able to regulate. But the way we're going about it, is it right?
No.
So
that's where we're talking about drawing the line.
Drawing the line.
Even the government's attempt to seem like, it almost seems like so because, you know, we need to be able to draw the line in terms of criticism, constructive criticism, and when somebody's just outrightly being rude. Like the slap to the president now. That was it was completely uncalled for. That's a no-no. You can't say because I want to express how I feel. I feel the anger inside of me. You now give
because it's a
another human
democracy.
being. Slap. Even forget even whether a president or not a president. You slap another human being because you want to express the anger that you feel. That's a no-no. And that's the same kind of expression that would make somebody beat up his wife or whatever it is. Because you think you have that right. Because the anger is boiling inside of you, you have that right to express it. So there has to be rules. And those are the rules that guides us, that now keeps us sane. But let me hear your thought, Jennifer, because you see now, it seems like for us, because we're bringing it now back to Nigeria, it seems like at every given time, it's always a thing of, if they just say this thing, they are anti-government. They are anti-government. Nobody is seeing it that maybe citizens are genuinely upset and angry about certain things that they are not saying that should be happening in their country. So where do we draw the line in terms of, okay, it is maybe you're attacking a government or you're actually just telling them maybe the truth?
Currently, I think that the lines are blurred when it comes to freedom of expression. And that's because a lot of people are hypocrites. And then also there is a bias. Now, Miriam can say something, maybe because she's my favorite person, and then she would express herself. I'm like, oh yeah, go Miriam. And then while you say something, I'm like, why do you have to say that? And I've seen it countless times. Now, when you bring it down to the government where they feel attacked, now the fact that you feel attacked, that someone is trying to tell you that, see, what you're doing isn't right. You're not supposed to treat your citizens like this. I think that is when you should actually sit down and do a self-reflection. But because you don't want to own up to the fact that you've not been doing a very great job, then you feel attacked. Like I said the last time, it was yesterday when I was on the show, and I said, the government is just throwing tantrums. They don't want you to come for them. They don't want you to tell them, oh, you're not doing this right. It's only a child that you tell, oh, why did you put the cup here? I already told you not to put it here. Why are you putting it here? As an adult, you know from time that it shouldn't be there. So why do you need people to actually tell you what to do? Now, when you see that a large sum of people keep saying the same thing and they keep saying the same thing, and I feel like NSAS kind of like sets a precedent. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing now, because you have people in government who are scared. Because one person started something, one person was bold enough to say, oh, I think we need to end this. We are not comfortable with this. Enough of being silent. We are expressing ourselves. We're trying to let you know that what you're doing is wrong. What you've been doing to us, like for a very long time, is wrong. And now we are tired, and we're saying we are tired. Now everybody took to the streets. One person started, a group of people started from 10, it entered 100, from 100 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 5,000. Now you see that people are coming together to talk about one thing, to express themselves in different voices.
Their displeasure.
Now you have a problem with it. And when it comes to freedom of expression, let's leave, I've talked about the government, let's talk about us. Now you see things that people post online and you're like, you don't have to say that. Like,
what were you thinking?
Yeah. Why do you have to say that? I understand the need to express yourself, but there's some certain things you shouldn't say to people. Like Uti said that you should not say things that would hurt people. I might want to give you constructive criticism, but at the same time, I'm not doing it in the way that would actually criticize you in a way that you should understand. Yeah. I'm just outrightly coming out to attack you. I'm coming out to hurt you just because I have freedom of speech. Or I can do this. We all have a right to say what we want to say. Yes, you have a right, but how you say it matters.
My right starts where your own stops.
Exactly. How you say it matters. Like the guy who's like, why should you?
You don't even try it. But you know what? Let's take a very short break. Very short. We'll just go in and come back. We want to open the phone lines to hear you, to hear what you have to say. Stay with us. All right, so if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we're discussing freedom of expression and asking where do we draw the line, both as citizens, we're talking to ourselves, and also on the part of government in their attempt to seemingly gag us, all the time. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone line is also open now. Please, when you call, try to keep your conversation within a minute. Turn off the volume of your TV. I would ask the people at the back end to switch it off. If I hear myself from your television, please. it delays and it doesn't help as well. But let me come to Uti. So before we went on the break, I mean, you heard everything that we've all said, right? You were asking for the way forward, the solution. What do you think a way forward or what a solution can look like, right? Of course, we already told the government their approach to the Twitter ban was completely wrong. And I think even they themselves, they are beginning to realize that it was a flawed, very, very flawed.
Honey, no, they're not.
I was about to say that. Thank you, Marianne.
No, where is saying? No, they're not.
But they called for meeting now.
Honey,
Which meeting?
That meeting was why our business they concern you. We know say una sabi do freedom of speech. Leave us. It's our country. That's it. Did they tell you what they said in the meeting? They just gave you surface details. That's it.
Okay, Utio, over to you.
See, thank you, Marianne. We're so easily distracted. They just need to dangle small and then we're like, we are here. So in terms of solutions, right? Look, there are so many ways to talk about this. There's so many ways to think about this. First of all, from a Nigerian perspective, we all need to decide, and I don't know how this is, how do we teach people to become good citizens of a country that has zero accountability, that has no governance? Because a lot of the things that we see, what we're talking about freedom of expression today, freedom of expression, the one that is causing problem is the one that concerns Nigeria. Is when people are talking about how they feel about this nation, how they feel about our leaders. And one thing that I have noted, I'm very careful with my words. That's just my own personal beliefs. But we have all, as Nigerians, become so accustomed to speaking so negatively about our nation that if words were writing our future, we don't kill everything possible, we have killed it.
True.
Because we no longer have a belief in this nation. We have nothing that we believe is worth fighting for. Our young people today believe that Nigeria is a country designed to kill dreams and take lives. And they're not lying. Again, like I said, everybody's truth. People's lives have been lost needlessly. Like we said, people are running businesses. People want to come and invest in Nigeria. And then government just wields the long hand of the government because it's not even long hand of the law. And they wipe it out overnight. So how do I want to tell people that you should come to Nigeria or you should take Nigeria seriously? But for me, that's where this starts. If we're looking at wanting a solution today, our government needs to embrace freedom of expression in the right way. They need to start having the conversations that matter. We need to come back and appreciate the value of a roundtable and the conversations that can be had there from a place of truth, from a place of trust, and a place of actually wanting progress. Because we have had conversations for 20 years without getting anything out of it. PIB, case in point. So when we say that, Nigerians are very amenable people. And what do I mean by that? We only need a little. Look at the conversation that just happened now. They've had a meeting. All of a sudden, we're looking for positivity. I think God gave that to us as an innate.
God saw the future.
So we could survive in this part of the world.
Our elasticity is pretty, it's stretchy.
So we just need you to give us a little. We're so used to doing everything for ourselves that, in fact, at this point, I'll just take security. Don't give me anything else, See, just give me security and I'm okay. So I was saying to someone the other day that, you know that if this government just said now that, you know what, every faction that has a problem, come to the table. Do you know that we could have this conversation for the next 20 years and Nigerians will be okay? The problem I see today is that there is no call for dialogue. Everything is authoritarian. And this is not easy for me to say because you all know how I feel about democracy in Nigeria. I don't really think it's a model that works for us. So for me to come out and say this, you know that it's paining me. That we need to have these conversations. People need to feel like they're part of Nigeria. Right now, Nigeria is just happening to all of us. You, me, everybody.
I love what Uti, I love what you're saying because, again, I will still go back to the president's interview. I was just chuckling on my bed this morning when I was watching it. Part of what I perceived when he was talking, he kept on saying, like, when the youth, almost like pushing the blame. Not taking responsibility. See, part of coming to the round table is come with vulnerability as well. The reason I'm able to communicate with my children, for instance, is because most times I show them that I'm also prone to mistakes. You cannot, as a person, believe that everything that you have done is right. And they ask you questions about being sectional in terms of your appointments, and you're trying to say, oh, if the person is qualified and all of that. It doesn't make sense. You cannot tell me, because we are a people of diverse culture. Diversity is what is supposed to be our strength as a people. Yeah. But now it's looking every day like this is our biggest weakness. And so when a set of people now say they want to be out of this drama and they want to be on their own, you're not forcing them. You cannot not have those conversations. And part of this way forward, it is for you to take those and make those difficult conversations, because those are the difficult conversations you must be able to face on head on, but with integrity and sincerity of heart, to say we truly want this nation to work. But let me come to Marianne.
Absolutely, you are hitting the nail on the head. I'm going to be very diplomatic about this one.
Okay, sorry, Marianne, 1 minute. Let me just take Charles from Delta State, I think, or is it Port Harcourt? Charles, thank you for calling us.
And cool. I think people are really having a nice one there.
Thank you.
I've been listening to your colleague there, Uti, or so. She has really spoken most of the things that I have in my mind. I was listening to the president today in a sister station. It was an interview that was granted to him when he was saying things about the youth, about what happened at the Lekki toll gate, and was seeing it as if it was an attempt to bring down his government.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I was surprised. And so it's now what they tagged it. And that was really very unfortunate. What this government is all about is every time you say anything, try to express yourself, they'll say, I think this one is a PDP man, no longer see money to steal, they're hungry. That's why they are reacting like this way. Even when you have their main issue, constructive issue, and the way they react is as if maybe you have an agenda separate, which is our fundamental right. Our ability to want to express ourselves is our fundamental right. It's granted in the Constitution. So, it's really very unfortunate that up till now, this government doesn't see anything wrong. As in, they don't see anything good in accepting criticism, and which is very unfortunate.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Charles. Let me come to you, Marianne.
I was going to say that I was going to juxtapose this government with the Jonathan administration. I remember that publication where Goodluck Jonathan did say that his administration was the most abused. I'm imagining if this administration got half the abuse that administration had, I don't know what would have happened to us. And it beats my imagination that the same group of people who are in this government are the same group of people who protested, who went on the streets. Nobody tear-gassed them. Nobody broke their necks. Nobody sent soldiers to them. The same group of people rode on the wings of social media and propaganda, yes, to be in this leadership. Yes, we know that the Goodluck administration was not the best, hence why Nigerians were asking for a better leadership. They saw a general, they saw a no-nonsense person,
an anti-corruption
someone who
agent.
They thought had nothing to lose, was not going to politicize the growth and the progress of this country, and they cast their votes against all odds, against all the pleadings of people saying, you don't know this person. They voted for you. All of those things you rode on their wings, you have totally jettisoned them. They have become enemies of the state. How do you want the people who you are governing to feel? You make us look like the enemy. So where is room for criticism?
And if once you start that, you can't even hear anything that they're saying, because he kept on saying that, like, as if they are fighting his government. Let me take Richard.
And that's what Uti said. Sorry, guys. What Uti said was we need to start having those conversations. You can only have those conversations when the leader is willing to listen and take into consideration the things that you have said. But if it's like pouring water on the back of a chicken, there's no need.
Absolutely. Let me take Richard, then I'll come to you, Jennifer. Richard, are you there? Thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening, guys.
Hi, Richard.
Yes, when I was listening to that interview, I listened to it with so much joy, but I felt so heartbroken when I discovered that it was not a live interview. That is one. During the interview, the president said something that I've always told people that will happen and that happened. The ban on Twitter was a chop of anger from the EndSARS riot of 2020. And if you know very well, there's a proposed protest that is supposed to take place on the 12th of June. So they don't want a repeat of that. So what they needed to do was ban and shut down this Twitter so that no voice will be heard behind. When that protest was going on last year, the EndSARS protest, the youth nationwide were all together in one point. But the powers that be have to bring in a narrative in that this protest was meant to bring down the government of the president. And that was why the youth up north now started to have a counter-protest. There's an agenda. I've said this 1 million times as an agenda. Good evening, guys.
Thank you. We can't really say about the agenda, but let me hear Jennifer. Thank you, Richard.
Again, I would say that a lot of people are expecting so much from the presidency. Someone who, like you were talking about Jonathan and how they had to kick him out and all of that, and the president made a lot of promises. As a then, I didn't expect much, because I remember having a conversation with my dad and people that were way older and asked a lot of questions. And I heard the conversations that they were having. And it was very obvious that as he was coming into seat, he wasn't coming with anything. Like, people were saying, oh, he should listen to us, he should be very critical and open his ears and all. What makes you think that he plans to do that?
But he promised to.
I don't.
He promised to.
People make promises. That's the thing. The thing is, he made promises just to get into that seat. I don't think he ever had any plan to fulfill it.
I don't want to believe that.
I don't think he had any plan.
Do you know why I
to
support
fulfill
her? Because we have had people who wanted to run for office in this country, but we've not had people who have been so eager to take office as this president.
And that was why there was so much high expectations.
4 times.
Yeah.
You would expect that this man had a drawing board filled with strategies on how to take Nigeria from where it was to promised land, if there be any such thing. But then 1 year into it, 2 years, we all realized that one chance.
Well,
you know, when people apply for jobs, one of the skills people put on their CV, especially people who are probably business developers or partnership managers or account managers, one of the skills that you need to have is strategic thinking.
Our president has it. He's just not bringing it to bear.
Uti, your final thoughts, because we ran out of time.
What to say? I would just leave it at the fact that, we are talking about freedom of expression, and it is a right. But I will call on all my fellow citizens. I know that I love Nigeria, and I know most of the people that I know, we truly love this country.
Yeah.
I just call on everyone to be responsible.
That's it.
We have no other country. Whether you think that you have a passport, you have a visa, you have somewhere to run to. We're a country of 206 million people. Anything goes wrong in this country today, it will be like a plague on West Africa. Nigeria is the cold that the world cannot afford to catch.
Absolutely.
So please,
thank you
let
so
us
much.
be responsible.
Yeah.
Let us speak our minds. Let us do so with a modicum. I always say it, and I know people say I'm idyllic. 2 wrongs don't make a right, So let us please have a measure of that in the back of our minds, that not everybody is as literate as we are, and things can be misconstrued. We saw how the peaceful protests were taken advantage of. Everything can be taken advantage of. So please don't allow yourself to be a vessel for that.
Thank you so much, Uti. So I'll come to you, Jennifer, then I'll give
If there's anything I want to say is, I think I want to implore people to be very careful this period. I feel like a lot of people are still underestimating the government. Be careful what you say, what you do, where you go to, and especially what you do. Because as it is right now, the country isn't safe. So just make sure that you protect yourself and protect every other person around you. This is not the time to be careless. This is not the time to say things anyhow just because you feel you have the freedom of expression. Just be very, very careful.
Thank you. How about you, Miriam?
Succinctly put, I I think we should all ask ourselves the question, what type of Nigeria do I want? If the type of Nigeria you want is a peaceful Nigeria, a Nigeria where people's lives are valued, a Nigeria where your voice can be heard, how do you want that voice to be heard? Do not do it like a radical, because of course that is a call for an action that you may not be able to live to see. So just as they all said, I mean, there's nothing more to add. Watch what you say. Because what you say, there's power in your tongue, there's power in spoken word. And another person, you might say go, and another person will hear tear down. So let's be very careful, clear in our statements. Don't let your anger get the best of you.
Absolutely.
Do what's best for your country.
Absolutely. I will just finally leave this to the government, because I mean, they've said to us as citizens, but to the government, I would say that not every time someone speaks out means that they are after your government. You need to be able to calm down and listen to your people. Right? I mean, if you go into the streets, you will see this hunger there. You will see people actually suffering when you go on the streets to see them. And I don't think you would wish that even for your enemies, not to talk about the people that put their lives in your hands, they entrusted their lives in your hands. So as government, please, let us just all calm down and listen to each other. That's what I would say. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Marianne, for doing this with us. Thank you, Uti. Thank you, Jennifer. We had an amazing conversation. Thank you to everyone that called. The ones that tried to call, we're sorry. The time is always so short. So before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can also interact with us further, drop a comment. Most importantly, we're planning a very huge giveaway. So to say thank you to you for watching and believing in the Ways brand. So follow the conversation online and on Instagram. Like, share. Remember to also invite your friends to watch us as well. So in case you missed today's quote, here it is again. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. That's liberty. We must be able to give people that freedom to just express themselves without having to go at each other. We'll see you live at 8 p.m. tomorrow as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.